The reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power and what a woman is fit for in the world. And so when we came to reimagining the actual role of Snow White, it became about the fairest of them all, meaning who is the most just and who can become a fantastic leader. And the reality is, Snow White has to learn a lot of lessons about coming into her own power before she can come into power over a kingdom.
Also, the fact that she's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's the proactive one, and she's the one who set the terms, is what makes it so relevant to where we are today.
Hollywood is in turmoil as the explosive feud between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot has sent Disney's live-action Snow White remake into utter chaos, threatening to become one of the company's biggest failures yet. Disney CEO Bob Iger, already facing a public relations nightmare, is desperately trying to salvage the company's image while the behind-the-scenes drama only deepens. Zegler and Gadot's clashes have escalated from tense disagreements to full-blown screaming matches, reportedly leading to the cancellation of high-profile promotional events and an endless string of reshoots, costing Disney over $300 million. The escalating tensions have even reached the point where Zegler has publicly blamed Gadot for her performance issues and the film's disastrous test screenings, which have flopped 6 times in a row. Meanwhile, Gadot, no longer willing to remain silent, has hit back hard. As a result, Disney is scrambling to patch up a production that now seems to be hanging by a thread. With marketing campaigns in disarray, reshoots jeopardizing deadlines, and the looming threat of a delayed release, Disney executives are spiraling. This could easily become the ultimate woke fairy tale failure. But is Zegler really the sole cause of the escalating drama? Or is there a deeper, more scandalous story behind the chaos? While it's easy to point the finger at Zegler's alleged behind-the-scenes behavior, doing so might be overlooking a far more significant issue: Disney's own troubled production process. Zegler's confrontations with Gadot, public blame-shifting, and diva antics have certainly fueled the fire, but Disney has its own massive problem on its hands. The studio has struggled with live-action remakes for years, and the push to modernize their classics through a divisive, woke diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) agenda has sparked backlash. Snow White has been the most controversial of them all, largely due to the casting of Zegler, a vocal critic of traditional Disney narratives, alongside Gadot, a megastar who prefers to stay out of the public drama. This combination set the stage for disaster, and sources claim Zegler has been particularly difficult to work with, blaming her co-stars for her poor takes and ongoing production delays. But it's crucial to remember that Disney's lack of control over the production and its failure to manage internal conflicts have only worsened the situation. This isn't the first time a Disney project has spiraled due to clashing personalities and conflicting creative visions. The company's decision to invest over $300 million into a film plagued by constant reshoots, marketing blunders, and mounting internal drama speaks to much deeper flaws in leadership and direction, not just Zegler's behavior. Iger's insistence on doubling down on Disney's political and social agenda has alienated traditional audiences, leaving the studio's stars vulnerable to public scrutiny. By focusing on Zegler as the scapegoat while ignoring the systemic issues within Disney, the company appears both desperate and dysfunctional. So, is Zegler the sole villain in this story? Absolutely not. While she may be adding fuel to the fire, Disney is the one that struck the match, and now they're all burning in the fallout. As for Gadot's reaction to Zegler's accusations, her response has shifted over time. Initially choosing to take the high road and maintain her professionalism, she has now become more vocal, pushing back hard against the blame. This change in approach highlights just how tense the dynamics between the two stars have become. It also underscores the broader discord within the Snow White cast, where conflicting personalities and production issues are contributing to a spiraling situation.
It's incredible, like Rachel said. I can't wait for everybody to see the movie. It's classic and beautiful and inventive. It's just magical.
Yeah, as a diehard Disney fan myself, I feel like I see every release an opening weekend it's like getting to show it to your best friends in a way that you're just like, you won't believe what we did. And so it's been really, really amazing to get to hear their live reactions too. It's just such an instant gratification that what we made is cared about so much, and that's a really wonderful thing.
I'm always grateful, and I have to pinch myself for the love and the appreciation and the respect that we get from our incredible audience. So yes, I'm very, very lucky, grateful, and privileged for all this love.
Gal Gadot's reaction to Rachel Zegler's accusations has shifted dramatically, evolving from quiet professionalism to what some would describe as a breaking point. This change speaks volumes about the deep tensions brewing behind the scenes within Disney's Snow White cast. Initially, Gadot played the role of the diplomatic co-star, maintaining grace amid whispers of Zegler's erratic behavior and the escalating conflicts on set. But as patience inevitably wears thin, it seems that Gadot has reached hers. At first, Gadot kept her composure as Zegler's finger-pointing grew more intense. Zegler blamed Gadot for her bad acting takes, the film's disastrous test screenings, and even for the cancellation of promotional events. It was a relentless game of blame that the Wonder Woman star seemingly tried to brush off. But make no mistake, every insult, every accusation, every diva tantrum from Zegler has been building pressure beneath the surface. Now, Gadot's mask of professionalism is starting to slip. Sources suggest that Gadot is no longer willing to take the high road, marking a sharp shift in her approach. Her decision to push back isn't just a reaction to Zegler's behavior. It's a clear sign of the deteriorating environment on Disney's set. When a seasoned star like Gadot, known for her poise and public restraint, reaches the point of cutting ties and refusing to give Zegler the benefit of the doubt, it shows that the drama is no longer a subplot. It's the main act. Disney's executives can't patch this up with quick-fix reshoots or scripted PR statements. This has become a toxic brew seeping into every corner of the film's production. The escalating feud also highlights a profound leadership vacuum within Disney. How can such a high-stakes project spiral so far out of control without intervention? Gadot's transition from peacemaker to active participant in the war of words underscores just how little control Disney has over its own cast. This isn't just an embarrassing corporate crisis. It's a glaring indictment of the company's mishandling of talent and production dynamics. Ultimately, Gadot's shift from silent observer to outspoken critic reflects a chaotic set where even the most composed stars can't avoid being drawn into the whirlwind. So, the question becomes, has the feud between Zegler and Gadot become a distraction from Disney's larger problems, or is it a symptom of deeper issues within the company's creative strategy? Given the mounting drama and disarray, it's hard to separate the two. The conflict between Zegler and Gadot is not just a distraction. It's a glaring manifestation of Disney's inability to manage both its talent and its creative direction, highlighting fundamental flaws that are likely contributing to the unraveling of the Snow White remake.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
So no prince, or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie.
Right.
Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. But it's one of those things.
So true,
it's
yeah.
it's an inner journey that she goes on to find her true self, and she meets a lot of people along the way that make the journey really incredible.
The bitter feud between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot has certainly stolen the spotlight. But is it just a distraction from Disney's larger problems, or does it reveal a much deeper issue within the company's creative strategy? On the surface, the clash between these two high-profile stars might seem like an isolated, ego-driven conflict spiraling out of control. However, beneath the drama and fiery exchanges lies a far more troubling reality for Disney: a lack of cohesive vision and leadership that leaves even their most high-profile projects vulnerable to collapse. Disney's live-action Snow White remake was always going to be a contentious project, given its politically charged narrative and high stakes for its stars. Instead of using its star power to propel the film forward, Disney has found itself trapped in a spectacle of finger-pointing and on-set drama. The Zegler-Gadot feud may be the most sensational aspect of this story, but it's also a symptom of a broader issue: the company's inability to create a collaborative and productive environment. Ziegler's outspoken criticism and Gadot's eventual pushback didn't happen in a vacuum. They've been exacerbated by Disney's insistence on inserting social and political agendas into their storytelling without adequately managing the inevitable tensions that come with it. By trying to walk a fine line between progressive messaging and mainstream appeal, Disney has created a perfect storm for creative clashes. The result: costly delays, a fractured cast, and a public spectacle that makes the studio look disorganized at best and downright incompetent at worst. It's impossible to ignore how much energy is being spent on damage control, rather than focusing on creating a cohesive film that respects both modern values and the legacy of the source material. Disney is scrambling to patch up interpersonal conflicts, reshoot scenes, and salvage its increasingly tarnished image. If anything, the Ziegler-Gadot feud isn't just a distraction. It's a flashing neon sign pointing directly at Disney's deeper creative and managerial crises. As juicy as the star drama may be, it's merely a symptom of much larger cracks in Disney's foundation. Unless the studio reevaluates its approach to talent management, creative direction, and balancing its ideological aims with genuine storytelling, Snow White may just be the latest in a string of failures. The stakes are high, and all eyes are on Disney to see if it can put out the fire, or if it will burn down its fairy tale castle in the process.
Like, when you leave the scene, I turned to the camera and I was like, "Gal's mad." It was so, but then you were FaceTiming your kids right after, being like, "Hi, so much." It's so good. I mean, yeah, sure. I had no idea what I was auditioning for when I auditioned. So it's a kind of a hilarious question to say, what drew you to the material? Is that, I didn't realize that I was reading lines with Dopey. It said, Jeff and Amy were reading lines.
For me, what drew me to the material, first of all, I'm all about the people. And when I spoke about this project with Mark Platt, whom I adore, who's the producer of the movie, and Mark Webb, our wonderful visionary director for this movie, I was all in already. Also, there's something so iconic about being part of the first, fairy tale ever told by Disney. It's the first, long animated movie ever to be released, and to be able to do the Evil Queen, which is so much different than anything else I've ever done, and to be able to dance and sing and to work with Rachel and Andrew and our amazing cast and crew, I was all in.
Will Disney's commitment to their day agenda ultimately help or hurt the reception of the live-action Snow White, especially considering the mounting backlash and ongoing controversy? People and critics are quick to notice that Disney's relentless commitment to its diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda for the live-action Snow White is a gamble that may very well define the film's legacy, for better or more likely for worse on paper. Pushing for modernized stories with diverse casts and progressive narrative sounds admirable in practice. However, it's proving to be a double-edged sword that may end up slicing deep into Disney's reputation and box office receipts. This isn't just about casting choices or storyline updates, it's about how Disney's aggressive day push is received by its core audiences. The backlash against Snow White isn't merely a conservative versus progressive culture war, it's a reaction to what many perceive as forced performative wokeness that disregards both the spirit of the original material and viewer sentiment. Rachel Zegler's casting, combined with her outspoken criticism of traditional Disney narratives, has become the lightning rod for these tensions, turning what should have been a nostalgic fairy tale into a battlefield. But Disney isn't backing down. Bob Iger's doubling down on Day is seen as a corporate statement, a refusal to budge in the face of public dissent, yet as seen with previous flops, like The Little Mermaid remake, pushing the agenda at the cost of cohesive storytelling and authentic audience connection, can backfire spectacularly if audiences feel pandered to or alienated. Ticket sales will reflect it, and this is where the rubber meets the road. The mounting backlash against Snow White, fueled by drama between Zler and Gadot, failed test screenings, and a bloated production budget, could make Disney's day push appear more like a desperate PR maneuver than a genuine commitment to change. Audiences can smell inauthenticity from a mile away, and if Disney is perceived as putting ideology over quality. It risks alienating both loyal fans and new viewers alike. What's worse is that this film is shaping up to be a test case for Disney's broader approach. If Snow White crashes and burns, critics of the day agenda will pounce, blaming everything from the casting to the narrative shifts. If it succeeds, which at this point seems like a Herculean task, it could be used as a benchmark for future projects. But right now the outlook is grim, and Disney's inability to adapt to audience feedback may just hammer the final nail into this contentious remake. Ultimately, the film's reception will be a referendum not just on Snow White itself, but on Disney's broader strategy, and that is a risk they seem willing but unprepared to take. How are the failed test screenings and costly reshoot impacting Disney's reputation and future plans for live-action remakes?
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. When I tell you that it's hard, I just mean to be inside my brain. And I'm there 24/7, I can't get out of it.
As a huge Disney fan like all of you, this is the biggest dream come true I could possibly imagine for myself. Thank you all for making it possible and being excited.
Rachel, this is your second film.
I know.
How do you describe that experience?
Oh, it's so weird and like not okay. No pun intended, lightning struck twice for me. I feel like the luckiest girl in the world.
It is just ridiculous. I can't believe this is my life. I can every day.
17 years old, a junior in high school. You send in this casting tape, and then you're cast as Maria.
I got it. I'm like looking around and there's this huge poster of my face and I'm like, who is that? I still can't process any of it.
I am the most grateful person alive, but I'm also keeping...
Disney's obsession with remaking their animated classics into live-action spectacles was once a reliable cash cow, but the disastrous production of Snow White, from botched test screenings to spiraling reshoot costs, has turned that formula into a cautionary tale. The fallout from these failures extends far beyond this one film. It signals to both the industry and audiences that Disney's golden touch may be slipping fast. 6 consecutive failed test screenings for a film that was expected to carry such a heavy legacy isn't just a blip. It's a glaring red warning light. The decision to pour over $300 million into this production and still fail to get it right is corporate recklessness of the highest order. Every reshoot and every additional dollar spent underscores the lack of vision and cohesion within Disney's creative team, and the industry is taking note. This isn't simply about fixing a few scenes or ironing out minor narrative bumps. It's a desperate scramble to salvage what's left of a sinking ship. Disney's willingness to bet the house on costly redos raises a haunting question. How far will they go to avoid admitting defeat? The chaos surrounding Snow White goes beyond the obvious financial hemorrhaging. Every failed screening and every dollar thrown into reshoots chips away at Disney's credibility. The company that once set the standard for cinematic magic is now the butt of jokes, with Snow White's production serving as the latest punchline. If Disney's live-action remakes are seen as expensive, directionless vanity projects, future releases could suffer from audience skepticism and franchise fatigue. Worse still, the stakes for Snow White are massive. If this film fails after such a disastrous production cycle, Disney risks tarnishing not just this project but the broader appeal of their entire live-action remake lineup. Trust, once broken, is hard to regain. Audiences may approach every new Disney project with a wary eye. If they approach them at all, the stakes couldn't be higher, and it seems Disney is gambling with house money they no longer truly own. This situation is now forcing people to ask a critical question. Could the Snow White disaster become the defining failure of Bob Iger's leadership, potentially tarnishing his legacy as CEO? Given the gravity of the situation, it's a question that could haunt Disney's future for years to come.
It was from Susan Arnold. She called me on the Friday before the Sunday that it was announced. Much to my surprise, I was not looking for a job, and I was not anticipating that I would be asked back. But this is a company that I worked for almost 50 years. I have huge passion for the company, tremendous respect for the people, and she made it very, very clear that it was a time of need. They had decided to make a change at the CEO level, and I felt that I guess I had a sense of obligation. And I also wanted to help them not only transform the company during, I think, a pretty critical time, but I wanted to help them succeed at succession, which is quite important to me too.
Bob Iger's tenure at Disney has been marked by significant highs, billion-dollar acquisitions and cultural phenomena, but also by some notable lows. If Snow White crumbles as badly as many predict, it could very well become the defining blemish of his return to the CEO seat, undermining the legacy he hoped to preserve. When Iger came back to lead Disney, There was hope for a revitalized company, one that would regain its footing after a rocky period. Instead, he now finds himself overseeing one of the studio's most publicly visible disasters. Iger's continued push for divisive storytelling and his unwavering commitment to a DEI agenda, while noble to some, is proving to be corporate poison when mishandled. Critics are circling, sensing weakness, and a Snow White implosion would give them all the ammunition they need. From sky-high production costs to internal cast drama and public controversy, this isn't just a bad movie. It's an indictment of Disney's leadership under Iger's second reign. Every meeting Iger holds to patch up the chaos, every failed PR attempt to make the controversy disappear, highlights a leadership team scrambling to stay afloat. In Hollywood, perception is everything, and if Snow White collapses, Iger's leadership may come to symbolize failed ambition and misplaced priorities, a harsh and enduring legacy that could overshadow even his previous triumphs. Ultimately, people are beginning to wonder whether Disney's reliance on woke storytelling and marketing strategies is backfiring. What does this mean for the future of their iconic franchises? If the Snow White debacle is any indication, Disney's current approach could have lasting repercussions for the studio's reputation and the longevity of its most beloved brands.
Meantime, in other news, remember last week we told you a story about how a number of Disney employees walked off the job last week because they felt that Disney did not do enough to oppose a bill that passed in Florida. It's HB House Bill 1557.
There's no way we're hiring a white male.
Just kind of unspoken.
There are times when it's spoken.
Closing the book on the Arby's franchise, which opened on January 5th of 1969.
Roberts and our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda, and so I feel like I felt like it was, maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess something must have happened in the last they are turning it around, they're going hard, and then all that momentum that I felt, that sense of I don't have to be afraid to let's have these two characters kiss. Let's in the background. I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer.
Disney's pursuit of woke storytelling has been both a blessing and a curse, but recent events suggest the pendulum is swinging heavily toward the latter. Snow White has become the poster child for a strategy gone wrong, an attempt to modernize a beloved fairy tale that has alienated core audiences and sparked a firestorm of controversy. In chasing new markets and embracing progressive ideals, Disney has inadvertently trampled over the legacy and expectations of its traditional fan base. Sure, inclusivity and representation are important, but when done poorly, as with Snow White, it comes off as shallow, forced, and pandering, not genuine progress. The backlash has been swift and fierce, signaling that Disney's current approach is backfiring. The emphasis on agenda-driven narratives at the expense of storytelling quality and authenticity has left audiences feeling disconnected and increasingly disinterested. If Disney can't strike a balance between innovation and respect for its classic stories, it risks continuing to hemorrhage goodwill. Future live-action remakes and iconic franchises could be met with cynicism and distrust, eroding the magic that once made Disney untouchable. This isn't just about Snow White. It's about whether Disney can adapt without losing itself in the quest to remain culturally relevant. Right now, the answer seems grim.
Please make a lot of noise. The stars of Disney, Snow White, Rachel Zegler, and Gadot.
Hi, Gal. You were just on stage for Snow White at D23. We got to meet your evil queen. If you could introduce me to her, how evil is she? How much did you get to ham it up a little bit and have fun with it?
First of all, have fun with it. I loved playing this character. It's one of the characters that I enjoyed playing the most. She is evil. She is deeply, she has this dark side, and the dynamic relationship and what Snow White gets out of her is very... Just wait.
Well, I have to work really hard to get out of the little girl in me because I was freaking out and squealing and crying. And Sandy Powell was looking at me like, what's going on? But it's incredible. I mean, getting to be an iconic princess, and not just an iconic princess, but the first ever animated Disney princess, is just the biggest honor and the biggest responsibility and so much pressure. Oh my God, but it's amazing.
As Disney's Snow White remake teeters on the edge of catastrophe, the drama shows no signs of slowing down. The fiery feud between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, astronomical production costs, and the endless stream of reshoots are just the tip of the iceberg in what's shaping up to be a much deeper crisis for Disney. Will the company's relentless push for a woke agenda reshape the industry, or will it ultimately cost them their audience and reputation? One thing is clear: this fairy tale has turned into a nightmare, and the fallout will shape not only the future of Disney's live-action remakes but the legacy of everyone involved. Let's talk money, because Disney is pouring cash into this movie like there's no tomorrow. We're talking over $300 million, folks. That's a lot of zeros. And with that kind of investment on the line, you'd expect smooth sailing, right? Well, they've had to do reshoots, which is like spending weeks on a huge school project only to find out you need to redo everything because something just didn't work. Not exactly a minor issue when you've already spent a fortune.
Doomed Snow White movie looks like the budget is going to come in just about $300 million. That is so much money for Disney to go out and spend on an absolute flop. Let's not forget that the Snow White movie has probably the most annoying actress in Rachel Zegler.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
They replaced the 7 dwarfs with 7 bandits of all different races and orientations, and they got rid of Prince Charming. Instead, they just made some dude who hangs out with the bandits. Snow White is about to be another $150 million loss for Disney. Keep up the good work over there, Disney.
Throw in some celebrity drama and things get even messier. Gal Gadot, our fierce evil queen, and Rachel Zegler, the sweet Snow White, are not exactly getting along. Their feud has escalated to the point where it's throwing the movie's schedule into disarray and making it harder for Disney to sell the film. Imagine spending all day at work and your top 2 employees can't get along. Headache, right? Now picture this. Disney had everything lined up for a grand marketing blitz. Interviews, big talk shows, you name it. Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler were supposed to be the dynamic duo, drumming up excitement for the movie. But then boom, Gal pulls out. Just like that. No more joint interviews, and because the media wanted them together, the whole campaign got scrapped. Rachel was set to rake in about $3 million from this deal, but suddenly, poof, that's gone. That's a tough blow, right? But it's not just about the money, even though $3 million is a lot to lose over a feud. It's also about the missed opportunity for Rachel. This was supposed to be her big chance to shine, to really leave her mark on Hollywood. These interviews aren't just casual chats, they're a launchpad for stars. Losing that kind of exposure is like tripping at the start of a marathon. Now she has to watch her every move because her next steps are crucial if she wants to bounce back. And it's not just Rachel feeling the heat. This feud's ripple effects are shaking up the whole Disney empire. When your leads are at war, it doesn't just affect their movie, it throws the entire lineup into turmoil. Disney bigwigs like Bob Iger are probably sitting in their comfy chairs, sweating bullets. With other major projects in the pipeline, they've got to be wondering, is this going to be the new normal? Is this kind of drama going to follow them every time? Disney's been trying to mix things up with a big focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion (DI). Sounds great on paper, right? But it's not all cheers and applause from the fans. Some are fully on board, but others feel like Disney's just playing politics. And just to double down on it, Disney recently hired a new DEI supervisor, and they're not paying them peanuts. It's clear they're all in on this strategy, but whether it will pay off or backfire is still anyone's guess.
Disney's diversity officer departs. Disney's chief diversity officer, Latondra Newton, is leaving the company. She's been in charge of the diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts at Disney for 6 years. Newton is leaving Disney presumably to find a new kingdom to turn into a woke, non-binary, gender non-conforming hellscape crippled by identity politics. I don't know what company she's going to next, but she seems like she'd be a perfect match for Bud Light or Target.
Disney seeks a new DEI director offering a salary 4 times the national average. Daily Wire reports Disney's making a significant commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion by hiring a director for this agenda with a salary that could reach up to $241,500, well above the national average of $59,428. The company's efforts aim to strengthen relationships with stakeholders and push left-leaning initiatives in diversity while enhancing their DEI messaging. This move has sparked criticism from consumer advocacy groups who argue that prioritizing DEI undermines company performance and shifts focus away from merit-based competency.
So where does all of this leave Disney? Honestly, in a pretty tight spot. They've got a movie that's burning through cash, lead actresses who can't seem to get along, a marketing strategy that's backfiring, and a DEI policy that's stirring up even more controversy. This Snow White saga could really shake things up for Disney's future remakes. It's like watching a high-wire act. Can they make it across? Or are we about to witness a big fall? So what do you think? Will Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler patch things up? Or is this feud set to explode even more? Can Disney smooth out these bumps before Snow White hits theaters? Or are we looking at a major misstep in their fairy tale lineup? And what about that DEI strategy? Is it the right move, or is it just complicating things further? Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. We love hearing what you think because it keeps the conversation going. And hey, if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to Woken Informant, and ring that bell so you don't miss out on any updates from the heart of Hollywood's hottest controversies. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.